Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kat and I write children's fiction. Today I would like to do the second installment in a little series I'm doing on this channel, which is called Learning from the Masters. Basically, this series is just me taking my favorite pieces of writing and analyzing it, going into detail of why I think it works or why it doesn't work, so that we can all learn from it and apply the lessons to our own fiction writing. Today's master of writing is Suzanne Collins, and she of course wrote the Hunger Games series. Believe it or not, I actually had never seen the movies, had never read the books, until about 2 weeks ago when I finished all of the books like in a week. And then a week later it was announced that she was going to write a prequel. So you're obviously very welcome for that, because obviously I checked those books out from the library and that's how she knew that there was still interest in them. So yeah, a total coincidence, but good timing nevertheless. So let's jump into the points that I really liked and the points that I think could be improved. And needless to say, there will be spoilers for the original trilogy. The first thing that I really love about the series is realistic fight scenes. And I mean realistic in terms of skills and also injuries and consequences. Before I read The Hunger Games, I of course knew a bit about it, because it's very hard to ignore such a huge and influential piece of pop culture. So I always, knew that there was this girl with a bow, and I was already rolling my eyes because I thought, yeah, of course, they're gonna take this girl and give her a bow and she's gonna learn to shoot it within 2 days, and then she's gonna be really good at it, even though she doesn't have any of the strength that is actually required to shoot a bow. But luckily, I was wrong. So I really loved that in this book, Katniss's skill with the bow is realistic, because she's been shooting it and she's been training with it for years and years and years and years, and this is actually how she survived all these years and got food on the table. Yeah, I just think it's really cool that she's only good with this weapon because she's had a lot of training, and that she exactly knows that she doesn't stand a chance with hand-to-hand combat with people who are 50 pounds heavier than her, because that's just not realistic. And I really love that when it comes to a scene where she finds herself in the situation of hand-to-hand combat, she doesn't just magically have the upper hand because, she's the main character, so she has plot armor, but she actually needs to be saved by Thresh, who is huge and actually strong enough to save her. I also really like in this book that the injuries that people get in fights actually have consequences. Even with advanced capital medicine, healing takes time. And some things like Peter's leg are just beyond healing. So he loses his leg and it's just not a mild inconvenience to him in that moment, but it actually slows him down in the next Hunger Games. The same, for example, when Katniss loses her hearing, even though this is one of the things that does get fixed, she thinks about it later on in the books. So she kind of remembers what it was like to have lost her hearing, how helpless she felt. I really think that this just adds to the realism, and I really like it. Suzanne Collins also doesn't ignore the mental toll that the Hunger Games and just generally living in this dystopian society has on people. Because we see it so often that somebody has depression, but it's fine because now they found a girlfriend and that's all they needed to help them with their depression. Or somebody has an addiction, but they finally have a mission in life and that's all they needed to pull themselves together, and the addiction is a thing of the past. Haymitch in the books is a great example of that. His alcoholism isn't just cured because now he has the mission to mentor Peter and Katniss or to, be a part of the rebellion. I have really great respect for Suzanne Collins that she didn't just take this easy route, and I really like this realistic factor about the books. Thing number 2 that Suzanne Collins does really well in The Hunger Games is not portraying the rebels as the sweethearts. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely peaceful revolutions. I mean, I'm from Germany, so my country is a pretty good example of that. When the East and West were united, that was a peaceful revolution. But history shows that peaceful revolutions are an exception, and that more often than not, revolutions are violent and bloody. And not everyone who loses their head is necessarily a bad person, because rebels have their own agendas. And they don't just do revolutions out of the goodness of their heart to create a better society for everyone. They also maybe want to add to their own power. So I really think it's great that Suzanne Collins didn't kind of default to this over-romanticized and very black and white political approach of really portraying the rebels as the good ones and the capital as the evil ones, and that she kind of portrayed a bit more nuance there, because life is complicated, political situations are also extremely complicated, and everyone has their own motivations. So I really think this nuanced portrayal is something that really adds to her story. Thing number 3 that I think Suzanne Collins did really well in this book series is the love triangle. Before I read the books, I knew that there was going to be a love triangle. And I was already dreading it, because I was expecting, your standard really annoying love triangle. Girl dates douche boy, nice boy is interested. So girl kind of falls in love with nice boy and kind of cheats on douche boy, but it's okay because he's a douche, right? And then there's also this version where girl has a best friend and then a love interest pops up and blah blah blah. Yeah, thanks, I hate it. So I just thought before this book that there's no such thing as a good love triangle. So Suzanne Collins, in my opinion, just adds a really, really good magic ingredient to the whole love triangle situation, which is circumstances. And of course, there is the circumstance that Katniss has to pretend to be in love with Peter to, first of all, survive, but also to save her family. But I don't think that's even the most interesting circumstance. I think the more interesting circumstance is actually that these two worlds are just so far removed from each other. So her world with Gale at home, where she has a possible future, is one thing. And her world and her experience in the Hunger Games, which is just this ridiculous spectacle where she might die anytime soon, is a completely different world. And I kind of, funnily enough, could see myself in that, because when I was 19, I went to do a work and travel year in Canada for the first time. And so I kind of had this experience, of course, without having a love triangle or without having some gladiator games where I might possibly die. But I kind of had this experience where one world was just so removed from everything I knew and all my previous experiences that it kind of felt natural to just separate the two and kind of behave differently in one setting than I would have behaved in the other setting. So maybe you had the same experience if you ever studied abroad or, went somewhere completely different. So I didn't think it was possible to write a good love triangle, but Suzanne Collins did it. So kudos to her. Thing number 4 that Suzanne Collins did really well in this series is taking you by surprise. For example, by killing Primrose, which I did really not expect. I was sure that Prim would just have plot armor that kind of once Katniss volunteered to participate in the Hunger Games instead of Prim, that Prim would be out of it. So yeah, I was really surprised. For some reason, I was also really taken aback by Cinna's death. I can't really put my finger on it why, but I just kind of feel like that characters that typically have plot armor in many stories didn't have plot armor here. And I really think that this added to really up the stakes and create more tension, and I liked it. Point number 5 that I think Suzanne Collins did really well in this book series is not to underestimate teenagers. I think that this series was a lot to stomach. I mean, I'm 28 years old, but I was pretty bummed out. I also visited some forums afterwards where parents said that they would never give this to their children to read, not even to their teenage children. But I just think that readers like to not be underestimated, and that's counts for our readers of all ages, children, teenagers, and adults. So I think teenagers really appreciated that someone kind of had enough faith in them to kind of know that they can stomach it, know that they can take it. And I think this was a brave step that paid off, because obviously the Hunger Games are extremely popular. Okay, so those were some points that I really loved about the series, and now let's jump into the 2 points that I think could be improved. Thing number 1 that I didn't like very much is that I just feel that Peter's love for Katniss is unjustified. I was really asking myself during this book why he loves her so much and what she brings to the table, basically. Because, I don't know, he has a family, right? Why does he only care about Katniss and that's it? I mean, okay, his mother is portrayed as abusive and generally a horrible person, so I can understand if he doesn't have any love for her. But his dad seems nice enough, and also he has brothers. So I'm really not sure why the only thing he ever cared about and continues to care about is Katniss. And I never met a person in my life or heard of an actual real life person who never grew out of their first grade crush. So I just don't think it's very realistic that he falls in love with her when he's like 5 or 6 and then just continues to love her and never gets over it. So, I don't know. Maybe let me know in the comments down below if you know anyone who really just fell in love with a person when they were 5 and then continued to love them for the rest of their life. And I think the whole situation is a bit funny because that's what usually happens to female characters in many action movies, for example. They're only there for the main character to serve as a love interest, and they're not really fleshed out otherwise. And I really think that's what happened with Peter here. He doesn't seem like a complete person. He just seems to be there to love and save Katniss. And I like my characters fleshed out, so I'm not here for that. Point number 2 is that Suzanne Collins just has those pet phrases that are so overused and that need to go. One of those is coaxing. And seriously, if you notice it once, like everything in this book gets coaxed. People get coaxed. Animals, fires, cells, smiles. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. So, and usually the coaxing happens via homebrewed concoctions, which is another one of those pet phrases that are just so overused. Like, everything anyone takes is some kind of concoction, and mostly it's homebrewed. So, yeah, I guess the lesson here is just, if you have those phrases that you just tend to use over and over and over, first of all, have people that call you out on it so that you notice, and then just keep a list so you don't make the same mistakes, because this was distracting at some point. Okay, so this was all I got for you today. Of course, as always, I'm super interested in hearing your opinion. So please let me know, have you read the books? And if so, did you like them? Or did you hate them? I'm always so interested to read your comments because you have such good things to say, and it's a great opportunity for me to learn from you. So don't be shy and leave your opinions in the comments. You can also follow me on all of my other social media. I will link everything down below. I am at Cat Sperling Books pretty much everywhere except for Twitter, where I'm at K Sperling Books. Also, make sure to check out my Instagram because I recently started to post a bit more, and I took some really cool pictures, which I'm pretty proud of because I'm not very good at taking pictures usually, but I found some cool stuff, so make sure to follow me there. And also, guys, an announcement. I just hit 100 subscribers on my channel, and I'm just so grateful that 100 people chose to follow me, to listen to my thoughts, and to support me, and I'm really so grateful and really happy about it. So thank you so much for everyone who subscribed, for everyone who keeps commenting. It really means a lot to me, and I hope that those videos are helpful for you. So this is all I got for you today, and I will see you next week. Bye!